For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Dew Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Dew Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Dew Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
Zone on the Dew Champions Network. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section. I am Alex. I'm joined by my co-host Randall and Alex. Also, you can call him Miley. How's it going, guys?
It's going great. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to kind of give a layout for what we'll do in most weeks before we kind of get started. We'll do kind of a recap of what's happened in the past week with the Bills. Right now, it's training camp. Then we'll go over a debate topic that we've put out, set forth from the beginning. And then at the end, we'll do kind of a preview to whatever's going on going forward with the Bills next week, preseason, whatever it might be. Okay. So what are y'all's thoughts on training camp so far?
I would say it's pretty tumultuous, to be honest with you. Injuries are piling up, and we're looking at depth on depth on depth. I think that could be, if you're looking for any silver lining, you're looking at the preseason games coming up and who can show out in those preseason games. But as Brandon Bean talked about today, is since about day 4 of training camp, we've been swimming upstream, and that is kind of accurate when it comes down to the injuries. But some good things have happened as well. Tyrell Shavers had a good day today after coming off injury. Keon Coleman's been looking good, and that's been probably, between him and Kincaid, the top 2 subjects in this offseason is who is going to step up, because we did not hunt for a number 1 wide receiver in this offseason. Miley, what did you see?
Yeah, I guess my biggest takeaway, besides like the Keon Coleman storylines and the injuries, is from everything I've seen, the defensive line has looked really good and very deep. Like they're getting every day, it's Greg Rousseau had a great day. Javon Solomon had a great day. Landon Jackson, Michael Hoyt. Like every other day, there's just like a new guy having a very good day. And that is great, because in years past, it just felt like it was like, if Greg Rousseau's not in the field, you might as well say goodbye to our pass rusher. You might as well say goodbye to this. It looks like this year we're going to have 4 or 5 guys who can give quality snaps, which is something we really missed in years past. I mean, it is training camp, so I try not to read too much into it until I see them like in games, but it is cool to see. It's better to see players play well than play bad. So it is nice to see them step up. And you could argue maybe it's the offensive line looking poor, but we had one of the best offensive lines in the league last year. We're bringing everyone back. Our offensive line, like starting-wise, has stayed relatively healthy now that Spencer Brown's back. So I don't really think it's the offensive line playing bad. I think just the D-line has looked good, and it's a good sign to see.
I agree. That's the one thing I took away was the defensive line and kind of the different assets that we have on it that can actually perform and make plays. They all kind of do something a little bit differently. I love the versatility that it brings. I think A.J. Epenesa's had a great camp. I've heard a lot about him. Javon Solomon's had a great camp. I've heard a lot about him. I agree on Keon. I think Keon has shown, I'm an admitted Keon non-believer, but I think he's shown something with this, not really necessarily separation or anything like that. But I think that we're seeing some more aggressiveness from him and him learning his game a little more. And maybe that's where the weight gain came from, where he was like, I'm going to lean into this skill set that I'm going to do. I'm never going to be a burner. I'm not going to run down the field and take the top off the defense, so to speak, unless it's a 50-50 situation. So might as well get as strong as I can and beat people at the catch point. But I do think he's had some inconsistencies. Like today was a really inconsistent day. They said that basically Christian Benford locked him up all day. Trey White locked him up all day. He did beat Ingram a couple times, but he only had like 1 catch all day. So we have to kind of, I think, temper the expectations a little bit. I think the media is hyping him up in a way that is getting people really, really excited about it, as if he's going to be Justin Jefferson. And I just think that we need to like back off and just be like, okay, this guy is going to be a piece of our offense. I think he's gonna be a bigger piece than last year. I think he'll exceed what my prediction was to start off. I think he's exceeded my expectations this camp. I think he's going to be more than I thought he could be. And then the last piece that I wrote down was, today Thad Brown made a comment that was concerning. And he was like, well, the offense, this is the first day the starting offense has actually had a drive session and gone all the way down and scored a touchdown in camp. That's like 9-10 days. I don't know what he means by that. I'm assuming like a full drive, like not just red zone or not just starting at the 50, starting at the 30-yard line or whatever. And then Dan Fates said the same thing today. He said that he doesn't really know if there is an identity with this offense. I mean, it's 10 days in and we're struggling for identity. I know there's some injuries, but that's concerning to me that we're doing this and I felt like there's some identity issues last year, and we do this in camp a lot. We're testing a lot of things out. I think we do that more than other teams, like the Dolphins, like Tua threw his first pick the other day. Like that's not a good sign. Not trying enough things. Right. But overall, I think the defense is encouraging. The question is it the receivers or is it the corners who are the corners bad or the receivers good or the corners good and the receivers bad? Like, what is it? Is it a mix of both, or is it just, hey, it's a roll of the dice from day to day?
Well, I think it's certainly both, especially because Trey White probably needed a little bit to make his comeback in Buffalo. So the first 3 days, I believe he was getting kind of burned, got back into it, and got more familiar with Buffalo. Yep. And, Christian Benford has his limitation, but he's obviously our cornerback one. So he has been doing the best. And then Dorian Strong learning on it. Maxwell Harrison got injured. Dorian Strong needs some work in there, and same as Jordan Hancock. So a lot of that could be just rookies taking snaps and then getting through it. But I do think that with the identity is when we're looking at an identity is when I saw Keon Coleman in the first 4 days, it seems like they were giving him different routes, more like a power slot than a true X. Yep. And that identity problem is probably going to be throughout all of August because they are trying to figure out Kincaid and Keon Coleman along the lines of Elijah Moore and Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer has had 2 nicks throughout this training camp, which is rough. So he hasn't had a full go at it. So it's almost kind of like plug and play, trying to figure out what the identity is come week 1, because I think with how many injuries we have piled up that it's going to be an on the fly week 1 figure out. Is Shakir going to be ready week 1? Who's going to be that person sort of thing? Shavers going to have to come in to be an X and stuff like that. So it is kind of an on the fly with the amount of injuries we have with our identity right now.
Yeah.
One silver lining I would say about the injuries though, is it gives us more of a look at these depth pieces against the number 1s than the number 2s. Like a lot of the injuries seem minor, and I'm not saying I want all of our players to get injured, but it's cool. We get to see Tyrell Shavers and KJ Hamler go up against the first team defense a little bit more than we had in years past and maybe prove themselves a little bit more. And as we talked, you already talked about Tyrell Shavers has looked really good. He looked really good last year and almost made the roster. He looked decent in the spot time he played. I mean, he had that 80-yard touchdown, I think was against the Jets. He showed some potential there. So, I mean, it'll be cool to see who's the surprising player, because every year there's at least 1 or 2 surprising players that make the team. Didn't expect, obviously last year being Joe Andreessen, people didn't even know if he'd make the practice squad, and he ended up making the team. So I wonder maybe that's Shavers this year, because that's kind of, I guess, the big one that people didn't really expect. They thought, we're just going to keep 5 receivers, and who knows, maybe we do end up keeping 6. That'll be interesting. But the one quick point about the cornerback thing is I think part of the cornerback issue is just new. I mean, look at all this new corners. I mean, Trey White and Dane Jackson have been here, but they weren't here last year. They haven't been here under Bobby Babich yet, which is a McDermott type, but it's different. Like Benford's really the only corner, like a boundary corner that was here last year under Babich system. I mean, Maxwell, rookie, Dorian Strong, rookie, Dane Jackson and Trey White, we brought back in free agency. So I think early on in camp, some of that is just trying to figure out and learn the system. And it looks like they've been playing a little bit better as of late. As you mentioned, Trey White kind of got back into it. Dorian Strong, people been raving about how quickly he's picking up the defense. Maxwell was on and off before he got injured. Hopefully he can make it back pretty soon. I don't really want to see him miss any time. I'd like to see him start as early as week 2. I think week 1, I'd rather have Trey White, especially against Baltimore, go with the veteran. But then week 2, when the schedule eases up a little bit, I'd love to see that's where you start giving Maxwell those reps so he's ready by December and January.
I think there's a fair statement to make about Trey White being kind of just who he is. This is who he was in Buffalo. He had 1 all-pro year, and then every other year he was okay. He was good. He was a good player. He made Pro Bowls and things like that. But there was a lot of instances where he got beat. He's susceptible to deep speed and size down the field. He's always been that. So him getting beat down the field here and there, I'm not actually concerned because I know what to expect from him. He's a steady Eddie player.
Right.
And honestly,
He was in the bend don't break.
And Rasul Douglas he was awful last year. Like he got torched over and over again. I mean, I remember him blaming safeties on stuff, and I'm like trying to check my eyes, going, "Wait a second, that's not all this. He just got destroyed, and now he's like calling out Cole Bishop for not being in position." And so I think that's going to be okay. Dorian Strong to me has he's got to make the team. I think that it'd be foolish to put him out. Dane Jackson's had pretty good camp. Ingram, that's going to be the best battle to watch in preseason, in my opinion. At the end of the day, so. I think that the true concerns I have with the injuries, like Khalil Shakir's injury, he had this injury last year, and he came back I think he came back the very next week. He played through it, or 2 weeks later.
Or he missed the Texans game.
That's what it was. Yeah, he came back to the next week. It's a high ankle sprain. He knows how to recover from it. And Khalil's the one guy on this roster that can afford him his practice time, in my opinion. He's not a practice player, never has been. Remember him dropping tons of passes in practice. He doesn't win a lot in practice because it's not built for a yak guy. It's just not. Like, as soon as the yak starts, they blow the whistle, and it's like, you don't know how far he would have gone,
Right.
So he's fine with that. I like seeing other guys in. The concerning part with the injuries ultimately, and I kind of ended on this note before we go into the next part of our discussion, is I just don't like guys. I want to see, I'm not concerned with Curtis or Elijah Moore or Palmer's injuries, but I need to see those guys healthy. And that's the main issue. Their injuries don't concern me. It's the fact that they're injured again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Curtis, especially Elijah Moore has been fine, pretty healthy, I guess, his whole career, but he just got here. Palmer just got here and has a groin. I could tell that was a groin from the jump. That could be a tricky injury as well. And I think part of the offense's out of syncness is really because the receivers are so depleted. We have one guy in the top 5 who's available right now, truly available. So, good.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Palmer getting dinged up twice is a big concern for me. Taking it, we took a chance on him. He was the youngest of the free agency, so I think that was kind of his idea, because Brandon Beane went for high upside guys throughout this whole entire offseason, and he is a high upside guy. But 2 injuries in training camp's not good for him adapting to Joe Brady's system. Yep. And then Curtis Samuel, I hate to say it, but I posted a couple on Twitter when I saw his second injury that he got held out for. His out's next year. I think we should just wrap him up, shut him down, put him on a pup for the first 4 weeks and hope he's just like 110% in week 5, and then hope he doesn't get injured. But I have no faith in Curtis Samuel doing a single thing this year.
Even in the playoffs, people keep talking about him coming back for the playoffs. He had 2 amazing plays, right?
Second half of the Broncos, right?
He did nothing else. Like they were talking about, he had a touchdown against the Chiefs, and he had the second half touchdown. So it's like, we're not even talking about a guy who really, we're not talking about a guy who put up 3 or 4 catches each game and 50+ yards. We have one really good game. It was based on one really long catch, and then he had another touchdown that was in a game he only had 1 catch in. And it's like, we're talking about him like he had this resurgence. He's not bringing anything more to the table. I don't think his route running is all that clean. I think he's an explosive gadget player. I think the explosiveness is kind of debatable at this point. Yeah. His 4.35 speed's probably more like, or 4.31 speed is probably more like 4.45 now. He's fast enough, but he's not winning with route running. I think Palmer's the upside guy for sure. As far as he's a separator that can give us separation and take heat off of other guys like Keon and force Marlon Humphrey to be on him instead of Keon. And then Keon can body Wiggins down the field kind of thing, because that's what it'll end up being. Okay, let's transition. So our debate topic is one that we've seen all over Twitter for the last week or so with Micah Parsons. And I want to know y'all's impression and y'all's take on, first, would you trade for him? And are there parameters on that? And what are those parameters? Because I think that's important to note, because I think we would all take him if the parameters were within our ballpark of what we would do for him. But for me personally, I'm probably on the negative side of this, regardless of the situation. I would take him if the price was adequate, but I think that price is not in the stratosphere of the possibility. And I think that's why we won't do it. But Miley, you want to start?
Yeah. I would trade for Micah Parsons every day of the week and twice on Sunday. He is the exact person that Brandon Beane has been looking for, that game-wrecking defensive end, that pass rusher that can take over games to the playoffs. What Von Miller is supposed to be and was prior to tearing his ACL. And I would do it in a heartbeat. And I would give up a pretty penny. I guess my line would be a trade I saw on Twitter earlier. That was, I think it was an ESPN posted one. It was James Cook at Oliver and 3 first. I wouldn't go that far. I think that's a little insane to me. But I know it's not super popular. People haven't said it much, but I would trade Craig Rousseau and maybe up to even 2 first-round picks if it meant getting Micah Parsons. Because, and I love Greg Rousseau. I've been defending him all offseason. I think he is a top 10 to 15 defensive end in the league, and I will defend him. But I just don't think he will ever reach that point of Micah Parsons, a pass rusher, where he's going to be a 15 to 20 sack defensive player of the year candidate every single year that you're going to have to double and he can take over playoff games. I think he can get to
that's insane.
12. Yeah.
That's insanity, bro.
Well,
10 to 15?
Yes, I think he's a top 10 to 15.
He doesn't have 10 sacks in a season in 5 years.
He is the top 3 run defender in the league.
I don't care. I want pass rush, man.
Yeah, that's why I'm trading him for Micah Parsons. He doesn't have the pass rush.
He can't do the other thing. He can't stop the run. Let me quote this real quick to you. Nick from New York had a post today, and I thought it plays perfectly in what you just said. That's why I have to bring it up. I'll let you get back into it in 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. He says, I do not see how Micah Parsons represents the final piece to some puzzle that many in Bills Mafia seem to think he is. While he's a dangerous pass rusher who attracted double teams at 24% rate of third down passing plays in 2024, we saw him firsthand in Buffalo and that he was a liability against the run. Parsons made zero solo tackles in that game. It was and according to the eye test, was dominated by Spencer Brown and a Bills downhill rushing attack that gained 266 yards. Now that's my question, right? If you value run defense so much, you can't make an argument that Parsons is like this crazy up because he's giving you the exact opposite, in my opinion.
The thing is, the reason I'm willing to do that is because I think we have enough plus run defenders on the defensive line already.
Okay. What about against the Ravens? What about against the Ravens?
Michael Hoyt and Joey Bosa weren't on the team. And that was more of our defensive tackles getting dominant. I'm talking about just defensive ends. My idea, if we trade for Parsons, is on early downs, you rotate in Hoyt, you rotate in Epinesa if he's still on the team, you rotate in Landon Jackson, you rotate in Joey Bosa. Those 4. Then on passing downs, Micah Parsons is in every single passing situation easily. And then you rotate in probably Bosa and Solomon on the other side, and then Michael Hoyt, someone you can kind of move around. You could put him on as a 3 tackle. You could play him. I would put Hoyt on the edge.
Defensive end. Are you going to put Michael a defensive end or a linebacker?
I would put him on the edge. I would put him on the edge.
You're going to have to at that point, right?
Yeah, but you could also move him around a little bit. Like they saw in Dallas, when on pass rushing downs, they moved him all over the place, and I think we can do that because if you want to move them all over, then you can put Solomon and Bosa on both sides. I think the issue with Dallas is they didn't have enough defensive end depth where they had to put them on rundowns because who else was going to be there? I think we have enough where while I value Greg Rousseau's run defense a lot, I think we have a lot of good run defenders in our defensive end. While I don't think we have enough overall pass rush, take over the game pass rush juice. I think Greg Rousseau takes a step based on last year, his pressure rates, and the fact that we had no one else getting any pressure. So it him get pressure and they just run the other way. I think that he will get 10 to 12-ish sacks, and I think about 12 is his ceiling with elite run defense. I just don't think he'll ever be a Micah Parsons defensive player of the year candidate. And that's why I'm willing to give up this hefty penny to get Parsons, because he's basically what we wanted when we signed Von Miller, but even better and younger.
Miley, I agree with you in the sense that I would trade for Parsons pretty much for all. My concern is I don't think Dallas will necessarily be asking for a Greg Rousseau or They might ask for an Epineza, but their issue is that they drafted Mozzie Smith in the first round, and they cannot get rid of him, and their interior defensive line is awful. So when I believe it was Justice General who put Ed Oliver in that trade, and that's what I've been thinking constantly is if they are going to ask for somebody, it's probably going to be Ed Oliver because they need somebody better on the interior. They got Dante Fowler on the outside that they picked up, and then they drafted Donovan Ezaraku as an edge as well.
Yep.
So if you're getting Epineza, you're getting him on the final year of the contract in Dallas. That's fine. It's pretty much just a chip for Dallas. I don't think he's worth much in a trade package at that point. I don't know if James Cook, they would want James Cook either because you're basically swapping out two people who are doing hold-ins. I don't think Jerry really wants to deal with that much. When it comes to Greg Rousseau, the thing is that if we end up shipping Greg Rousseau, we have somebody like Greg Rousseau in the body type in Landon Jackson. The issue is that Landon Jackson is a rookie. We
don't know anything
just
about
that
him.
style. We don't know anything about him. So getting rid of somebody that good in the run defense and backing up basically as a rookie, I don't think will work that well. I think if you're going to do a trade package, you got to think of Epineza and an interior defensive lineman that they're going to take and then work on that so that we can develop those rookies a little bit better. I'm with it. I mean, Parsons had 103 pressures in 2023 without any injuries. That's absurd with 16 sacks and 18 QB hits. He had a high ankle last year, still managed to get 14 sacks and 12 QB hits. He did lay goose eggs against some serious teams, and that is what I think Alex was talking about. He had just one QB hit against Baltimore. He never had a sack against Philly in Week 17. That was pivotal for Philly. Didn't have a sack against New Orleans. Didn't have a sack against the Giants. Only had a couple sacks in some okay teams as well. So the ghost is there, and it's a high risk, high reward for what we exactly did for Von Miller. When we got Von Miller, and before he had that ACL injury, it was to the wind, right? We could have won that Super Bowl before he tore that ACL. If that happens again for Brandon Beane, it's the same exact cycle that we're going to start churning again, and we'll get in that mess again. And by that time, Josh Allen's 31-32. I would take the high risk, high reward, but I understand how big of a risk it is, especially with Josh Allen in this season.
I think conceptually it makes sense to do it, right? Because we do have Landon Jackson.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, there's some disappearing acts, and I've seen them even when they're not playing the Bills. Like I notice it. I'm like, where the hell is Micah Parsons today? Like he goes on flurries with sacks. A good example is Rousseau last year. He gets 3 sacks in the very first game, and he disappears for like 6. And you're like, well, what the hell happened? You see a sack total, you're like, that's great. But you realize how he's getting his sacks, what he's doing. Now, Parsons does way different than that. I'm not saying that. But what percentage of snaps is he going to be on the field then? If you think he's a liability, like I do against the run, and you want Landon to fill in for Rousseau and those types of downs, how often are we moving them out? And when we play a team like the Ravens, the defensive tackles were a problem, but the defensive ends affect that, right? Because they're taking on blockers and things like that too, where it takes some heat off of the defensive tackles to an extent. That's one of the reasons I really liked Landon Jackson, because he could play on one side or the Rousseau on the other or whatever. And they could take some heat off the D tackle position because our line as a whole has gotten much larger. And more beef and can kind of fill in gaps. And I think that's the biggest reason that I really like that move. And with that said, I don't know if Micah Parsons does that. I see him as like a true 3-4 outside linebacker. I don't think he's not going to give you anything in coverage if you do that. And we're not going to play a 3-4. I have my major concerns there. We could.
Not consistently.
But
the way we drafted
do it sometimes.
It is possible to run more 3-4, especially with Deion Walker at 335, able to play defensive end as well. TJ Sanders can go in the middle and outside. Landon Jackson's a defensive end. Arkansas can play 3-4 and 4-3 as well. So he's been in a 3-4 system. Okay. So it's possible that disguising our front line will happen much more frequently than we've seen in the past and in the McDermott era.
So one word answer from both of you. And then I want to break my main debate topic to the debate argument to the table. Okay. Do you think this is the missing piece? Just yes or no? This kind of player?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
On the defensive side, yeah, it's team. I'm talking about team oriented. I'm saying more words than one, so I apologize.
Okay.
But my issue is that we've had this whole entire offseason where we've talked about the offense, and we just talked about how we don't see an identity in the offense and things along those lines, and what we're going to do on offense. And then Brandon Beane takes a draft and basically goes ham on defense, and then we're going to beef up the defense again, sort of thing. It seems like a redundant trail, but Micah Parsons is such a unicorn where I can't say no to it. Trey Hendrickson, I'm pretty much on the down slope on that. I don't think if he were to be available, I'm not sure I'd want to take Trey Hendrickson because he's not that big of a splash, but Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons.
So this is just follow me for a second. This is kind of where I want to go with this. My fear in some ways is this kind of like Von Miller effect, right? Not the injury, nothing like that. I mean, injury's a part of it, but we go after a guy, we spend a ton of money. I know he was older, so in the comment section, I get it. Yeah. But he was older. He came here to do one job to address that, and it didn't get done no matter what the reason for it is. Okay. We paid a bunch of money, get cap implications in the future because of that. Because of that. Okay. And Diggs and a couple other things, but there was a big reason. This is going to be bigger than that. We're about to pay a guy, if we get him $43 million, right? Yeah. Or whatever, right? So to get that, assets lost in the trade, we'll run thin in other areas because of this. And I think we are the deepest team in the NFL. Maybe not top heavy, but depth. Like who's got Elijah Moore at wide receiver 5 on their team? Nobody, right? Yeah. So that's a piece of it. So I kind of get where you're going with the one piece argument, but I don't think it really guarantees us anything, right? And that's my main thing. My logic overall, like roster building, is to be as good as you can be for as long as you can be, right? That's what I prefer. That's my mindset, right? I hate this. I know the Rams and the Bucks won. I don't think that is a guaranteed recipe. I think that it's fooling people into thinking that's a guaranteed recipe. And I think we should look at the past performances to see if this really is the one missing piece, right? So let's take 2020, for instance. What was the problem in 2020?
Bad offensive line, bad defense.
We weren't ready though either.
We were ready.
Like, it was over our head. Okay, so that's out. 2021, 13 seconds. There's nothing to do with pass rush. Yeah, I mean, but I could argue that the defensive problem was the speed in the secondary because
for sure.
Remember Tyreek Hill, quick throw, boom, he took a 15-yard throw, 80 yards to the house or whatever, 65 yards to the house, and like every single time it was something else. And the play calling at the end of the game, I don't think we can blame that on the pass rush.
And I think if you have a pass rusher like that, though,
it might have changed it a little bit, right? But like,
Mahomes had no pressure. Yeah, but Mahomes had like no pressure that entire game. If anyone could have got a lick of pressure on him, maybe it could have forced him into one bad decision.
Maybe, but this is Mahomes. My thing is we're talking about Mahomes here.
Yeah,
the secondary was worse.
Do you see Mahomes in the Super Bowl last year? You can get pressure on him with 4. He will make bad decisions.
You can, but they've got 4. They got 4. Yeah. It's not 1. Like they got 4 guys or dudes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, like, I agree with that. I mean, they have.
All right, so let's.
We've seen pressure affects every quarterback.
But remember,
it does affect Mahomes.
McDermott was a big bend don't break guy for the first 4 years of his build career,
too.
And it was too much. It was too much bend don't break, but he's evolving into it where it's obviously changing with the system.
And then the other thing, like you're saying, the bend but don't break type of deal. You want to read this comment here?
I fully agree with it. I already read it, and it kind of goes to my point. Who was the last Super Bowl champ that didn't have a difference maker like that in the front seven?
I don't know. I mean, did the Bucks have one really? Like a real guy?
I mean,
Vita Vea at that time.
Vita Vea was.
But that's a detail. I'm talking about a true rusher. Like I know he's a game wrecker.
But I'm just talking about game wrecker on the D line. Who was the last? The Patriots in 2018.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
and they have the greatest defensive coach of all time with the greatest quarterback of all time. We don't have either of those, as much as I love Josh.
So, all right. So, well, I mean, he's top. Yeah. I think at worst,
I mean, Josh is elite,
but he's probably to me, he's top 2.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, but he's not Tom Brady.
Let's do 2022. Okay, what happened that year?
Injuries,
right?
Injuries,
and we ran into a buzzsaw. The whole thing. Emotions were low. Josh had off
yeah.
the field stuff, probably. Who knows? Like, there's all rumors going on. Diggs
Oh, yeah, the
wasn't really
Chicago
happy.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I just think our corners had no shot to win against those receivers, and I still don't think they do. The Bengals are scaring me more than anybody else because I don't think we can keep up.
The thing is, you think they can stop our offense? I don't
Maybe.
think.
Yeah.
I think they have a better
Patriots
chance of
offense.
stopping our no identity offense than we have a better chance of stopping theirs.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
see,
I fully disagree on that.
I
can.
fully disagree. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I
Show me
think
we
their,
can stop
their
them.
offense. Their offense. I mean, what is it?
We've never stopped
2023. 2023. They only put up 24 points, and we lost the game because
No,
of
they
bad
put more than that. It
offense.
was like I think it was like 27 or 28, but they took the foot off the
27.
gas.
But our offense did not play great in that game. If Kincaid doesn't fumble, we might have come back and won that game. That was more of an offensive issue that game than I think. Defense.
They had our
great,
number.
but
The first
in the
game when
second half, our
Hamlin
defense played good.
when Hamlin got hurt, remember?
Yeah, they were killed.
We were lost. I mean, from the jump, we scored.
Oh yeah.
Then they score back. I'm like, oh, we're done. We can't do this every over.
No,
like they did it to
and
the
it will
Ravens
also-
last year.
It was simple.
They should
I
have beat
will-
the Ravens twice last year, and they kept going back and forth. And the Ravens ended up the Ravens have better offense than we do, and they kept going back and forth as far as their pieces go. Let's forget about the points argument with our,
No, I
we
agree.
were ninth in
I'll give
yards,
you
by
that.
the way.
I don't think the
I'll agree
Bengals
there.
offensive line is improving, and they've had some nicks. So, we have to understand that to beat the Bengals and to beat everybody, it's gonna. We
outrun
went
them.
through the drafted defense. They're
Yep.
emulating. We're trying to emulate Philly, where how many times can we create pressure with 4, and then when can we disguise blitzes with 5? And that's what it comes down to.
And you're gonna have
Defense
to
needs to
outrun
win
them.
games. Defense
have
needs
to-
to win games this year.
I know they do,
Here's-
but I don't think we can outrun them. I think that their offense is too high powered
think
for
we
us
can.
to keep up. I mean, who's
Here's my-
Trey White going to guard?
Here's
Like
my
Trey's-
argument.
Hopefully,
So-
Max Harrison CB2. Like, let's
Yeah,
be
and-
honest.
but no,
At this
here's-
point, Matt,
Dude,
we
Jamar
drafted
Chase
Max
is
Harrison
going
for
to make him
speed.
look foolish. That's the whole point.
Here's my argument.
He's good
though.
at zone and man.
They had one of the worst defenses.
Sure.
The Bengals had one of the worst defenses in the league last year, and
They
I think
did.
they got worse this offseason.
I agree.
Yeah,
agree.
I guess. But
Have
like,
probably a bottom 3 defense in the league.
they could have
our-
easily have been 12-5 last year if a couple things went their way.
Some of it was
They
on
also
Joe
could
Burrow,
have been
though.
worse though. They also, if a couple things didn't go their way, they could have went 6-11, 7-10.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, their offense is so good. Their offense scares me every time we play them. I
But
just
the
don't think we
last
can
2
keep up.
times we played them, our D line was not this good.
Yeah,
Hope
Micah
so.
Parsons would sack Joe Burrow like twice a game for us.
Yeah.
So, but if they,
But our
Dude, nothing
defensive
the rest of the
line,
game.
our defensive line is
Okay.
much better than it was
So-
post Von Miller and in 2023.
All right, so 2023, what happened?
Injuries, no pass rush once again. I mean, it was a whole defensive thing, but it was the fact that we had AJ
Drop
Klein and
passes,
Tyrell Dodson
Bad
covering Travis
linebacker
Kelce.
play. I mean,
Yeah,
think about it.
bad
27
linebacker play.
That was
Bad
27-24
linebacker
game. If we had
Yeah.
just okay linebacker play, we probably win that game pretty handily, I think.
Yep.
Um,
Agreed.
And didn't have anything to do with the pass rush. I think we had 2 sacks in that game. It wasn't
Yep.
crazy. It was like 2 sacks for like 8 yards or something.
It was very
Um,
conservative ball.
And then 2024, I mean, we had
Pass
an
rush.
awful late game call that ruined our last drive.
Christian Bedford going down was
Christian
the number
Benford was
one
the
thing.
catalyst, but we had a
Yes.
and Josh.
Yeah, Tyree Lim was so bad.
I love Josh
Yes.
Allen. He's my favorite player ever. But
I agree.
he started erratic and scared. He came out and I
Oh,
knew I
yeah.
was like, oh no, this is not
Yeah.
this is not Josh from like it's because we played so conservatively, I think, against the Ravens, and then it was like, okay, now it's time to change your focus to being a gunslinger again, because this is what we have to do. Win this game. And he came out erratic, almost threw 2 picks in the first like 4 throws. And it's like, okay, I want to believe, but like you're not giving me a lot of chance here to like do it. I just felt there was jitters involved. I think that's hopefully going to go away eventually, but it may never go away. And I don't think the pass rush would have changed a whole lot in that game. I think that we got off to a bad start.
See, my thing
we
is,
were home.
So my point is this, my last piece, this is it. This is all I want to say. My last piece is that I don't think the pass rush is like this missing piece. I just think we're getting beat by a team that knows how to win when the games matter, and we don't. And I think that, I'm saying when the matter, when at the end, when it matters, we know how to win matterful games until that point. But at that point, like, what are we doing? Like, I don't think Micah Parsons changes the the calculus on that.
The true test, and it was a regular season game, but the true test that Von Miller got against the Chiefs was the regular season game where he did end up closing out that game. He rushed on the left side, made Patrick Mahomes throw a pick. Now that was a regular season. We handled Kansas City in the regular season, but that was it. You could have extrapolated that, put that into the playoffs, and I believe the same thing would have happened. So somebody like that closer that Von did against the Chiefs in that regular season is pretty much what Brandon Beane got Von for, and that would exactly be the reason why he would get Micah. It's not up to us to tell Brandon Beane to draft Micah Parsons, or to trade for him. But if we do trade for him, that is exactly why he would trade for him.
So the last thing, real quick, before Miley, you can go first this time. I just want to kind of pivot to what you would do, like what you'd be willing to give up for him. Like, what would you give up in a trade for him? Like, what would you be willing to do?
So I did say the Greg Rousseau and the 2 firsts, but Randall, I actually, now that you broke down about how Dallas would like Ed Oliver more, it got me thinking. I actually kind of am on that train of trading Ed Oliver instead, but also because the fact that we have like all of our D tackles can play 3-tech. We have so many 3-tech defensive tackles. TJ Sanders, Larry Ogunjobi, Deion Walker can all play 3-tech, where we can kind of replace him. We can replace Ed like that more. It got me thinking, and I think Dallas would like Ed more for the reasons you said. So I'd probably do Ed 2 firsts, and hey, we'll give you Curtis Samuel for free. We'll give you AJ Epinesa for free. Just throw him in there.
It's a grab bag.
Take him. Are we going to pay the contract?
Well, for Ed
just
Oliver,
take him. I don't want him. Here, you can have him. Maybe we'll give you like a coffee machine if you take him.
Right. The enticing thing for Ed Oliver is that Dallas would only take on $2 million if Dallas took it over. So he would be playing for Dallas for only $2 million. So that's something that Jerry would be interested in, especially with that interior, is getting him on a cheap year to start. I love Ed Oliver. I would not like to see him go.
Oh, I love Eddie too.
But I agree with you, Miley. When it comes to the ability that we drafted, TJ Sanders can do 3-tech. Deion Walker can do nose tackle 3-tech. They could both do nose tackle 3-tech. Daquan Jones will have probably till week 8 until his age hits in, so he'll be a decent nose tackle till about week 8. And then you have our 3-4 DNs that can compress the pocket as well. So I'm in on that.
Week 8? What do you mean? I think you meant week 1 of last year is when Daquan Jones' age set in.
I don't know. I think he was pretty decent until like week 6 or week 7, and then I just saw age hit him like a brick wall.
I don't know though. That Cardinals, I remember watching. I don't remember watching a single play last year where I was like, "Oh, Daquan Jones, great play." Last year I literally don't. I can't remember a play where I.
What's the answer to that?
Made a great play.
Our nose tackles were so bad that it was basically inexistent. I mean, Daquan again is older.
What's the nose tackle that was so bad?
But then behind that, we were grab bagging. Dwayne Carter was hurt, and he had nobody behind him. Now at least we have depth at that nose tackle position to where you don't wear and tear him as much, and he does not play as many snaps as he needs to play.
We don't really
just a big Daquan.
We don't really have.
Believer, I guess.
I know. We don't have any nose tackle. I mean, we have guys who can play the 1-tech, but I mean, they're not going to.
I mean, Buffalo doesn't run a true nose tackle.
Yeah, exactly. But we have guys that can, shade, but I just don't think that any of them are really suited for it other than Daquan. I mean, Deion Walker is a big body, but that's not really his game. I'm fine with a big body just being there and they all penetrate. I'm good with that, but we don't have guys that stand up. I mean, I'm hoping Dwayne Carter's had a good camp. I'm hoping maybe he can step in and be the guy
they want him to play nose tackle.
I really like the way Dwayne played from like the Texans to the Titans game. Then he got injured. That like 3-game stretch, that was probably the best D-line play the Bills had all year. That 3-game stretch from him. He was blowing up plays in the run game, getting pressure up the middle. He was dominating, and then got injured. And then post-injury, a wrist injury for a rookie D lineman. Yeah, he just didn't have as much power. He couldn't hand fight as well, and that's kind of what happened. But one thing back to Alex's main argument about Micah is, yes, you can pinpoint the defensive failures on other reasons, but having a closer like Micah Parsons, it masks issues. Having someone of Micah Parsons, it masks. If you have a pass rusher, then get after the passer like that. It really masks other issues. Like if you don't have as good of a secondary, you get to the passer quicker. It kind of makes up for. You can, I mean, look at the Browns, 2 years ago when they made the playoffs off their defense and crazy play by Joe Flacco. If you look at I'm not saying Micah Parsons is as good as Myles Garrett, but if you look at the on-off splits of when Myles Garrett was on the field versus when he wasn't, when Myles Garrett was on the field, they by EPA, they were easily number one. When he was off the field, I think they were 25th or so. Their numbers were bottom of the league when he wasn't playing. When he was playing, though, they were best defense in football. Micah isn't Myles Garrett, but he's pretty, at least the pass rusher, he's basically on par, maybe a little bit less. Yes, he's not the run defender, but as a pass rusher, which is what we're getting him for, he is that basically. He can get after, and those double teams he creates and still is able to beat them opens up Eddie to get one-on-ones. Then maybe we trade him, or Greg Rousseau to get more one-on-ones, since he's not the focal point of the defense. TJ Sanders, a rookie, getting one-on-ones. There's a lot of guys who I trust can win one-on-ones. There's not really anyone I can trust to win a double team. Micah is that guy.
Real quick, just to kind of tie a bow on it. What's your trade package? Just real quick, what you're willing to give up and what you're willing to pay them. Because I feel like there's a problem here, with one last thing about your pass rush versus coverage thing. I mean, do we want to be the Dolphins where you have 3 elite pass rushers and Jason Marshall and Storm Duck at corner?
But the thing is, we don't have Jason. We have Christian Benford.
How many can we
drafted?
Keep?
Oh well, Benford we just extended.
Yeah. Well, right, but then
Maxwell Harrison and Dorian
cheap. You're right. Harrison's cheap.
Cole Bishop is cheap. We have a lot of cheap
Cole Bishop.
This if maybe Taylor Rapp walks, the safety class is looking pretty decently deep. We can grab one day too.
Yep.
We can just continue to draft cheap guys. I mean, that's how you win the Super Bowls. You have to have enough. You have to pay the right guys, and then your rookies on your cheap contracts they're the X factors. They're the ones that step up and make the difference. And if Bean drafts well, then it really will come down to if Bean drafts well. If we can get hits on the rookies and have those cheap contracts, we can afford the Micah Parsons of the world.
Yeah, I would do Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa, 2026 first, a 2027 first, and a third or fourth.
I would do Ed Oliver, AJ Epinesa, Curtis Samuel, both the next.
So they're not taking Curtis.
It's not bad.
It's not happening. No one wants that contract.
I don't care. He's taking them. Here, we'll go give Jerry Jones can have a lifetime supply of barbell chicken wings. He can do whatever he wants to entice the package. We'll give him, I don't know. Maybe him and Terry can create some business deal based off this. A little insider trading or something. Joe, please, get rid of Curtis, and then we have Tyrell Shavers take that wide receiver.
I'm glad I invited Miley to be the person on this show because.
Right.
I'll give up one first. AJ Epinesa.
I was gonna say
I'd throw in Ed Oliver if we can fit it. And honestly, I wouldn't. I'm still hesitant over paying any non-quarterback over $30 million. Honestly,
it's
just not my cup of tea.
42, yeah,
exactly.
42 million.
And that's my concern.
I'm okay with that.
It's we'll be fine for a year, maybe 2, but then because it's going to be a 4 or 5 year deal, and then or probably a 4. I mean, I don't know. I have hesitancy with it. It basically here's the deal. It shrinks our window for sure. It makes our window right now better in some respects. I agree with that, but it doesn't guarantee us a Super Bowl. It shrinks the overall window of it. And by the time 2 years goes by and we start to deplete our roster somewhat because of the contract money kicking in, then Josh is going to be 31 years old, 32, whatever. And then it's if we don't win in those buckets, it's kind of over. Josh can still be good for till he's 35 or whatever, but he's going to start to diminish after 31, 32.
Yeah. That's when it happens. My thought is, one, they thought that in Denver with John Elway, and then they won it when he was 37, 38, wasn't even playing that good. So I wouldn't say it's over.
An elite defense and an elite running back. They got an elite running back in the 7th round, rookie.
Hey, who's saying Brandon Bean can't do that? Peyton Manning won a second Super Bowl.
Guys like Terrell Davis don't fall that far anymore.
Peyton Manning had won a second Super Bowl when he got benched for Brock Osweiler.
Wow.
He
played
you can win.
Right.
You
Like
can.
I,
It's unlikely to win without an elite
I
quarterback
will
or a
say that,
high-end
but
quarterback.
Yeah.
I think we are in a I think we're in an intermediate 2 to 3 year window, and then contracts are going to kick in either way, and the roster is going to get depleted some by the guys we're paying now with how backloaded those contracts are. And I think we should take full advantage to this. I agree with your point. Like we shouldn't just go and burn everything. That not the Ram strategy of F them picks. Like I get that, but we should also I would like to see the all-in move made while we're in this window, because I think this year, and in my opinion 2026 is the Bills' best chance to win the Super Bowl based on the way the salary caps looked, based on our drafts recently as these guys are developing, based on the way the team's looking and how young it is. Give it another year to mesh. I think 2026 is our best shot. So I think Micah Parsons immediately helps 2025 and 2026.
Mhm.
And I think that's more important to me than looking to see what happens in 2028, 2029. Because Brandon Beane has shown he is very good at circumventing the cap and moving things around to be able to get the players he wants to fill. I mean, this year we took on so much dead cap. Everyone's like, oh, the Bills are going to take a step back after the offseason we had last year. And we were that close to making the Super Bowl. Like, because Beane was really good at where to cut contracts and value. He's not good at getting studs in free agency, but he a lot of times can get those super cheap value contracts. And I trust his ability to be able to like move the cap money around to make it work long term.
All right,
And my final bow on that for Miley is I agree. And that's why we drafted people like Landon Jackson, right? So Greg Rousseau could probably be trade bait in 2027 if we have Micah Parsons, because our cap will be too high. Then Greg Rousseau develops Landon Jackson into his role. And then you kind of just rotate in that if you have to follow suit like that. So there's ways to do it. And there's ways to do it. That's my final bow.
All right, that's good. All right, let's pivot to the last point. Preview for the upcoming week. Miley, you're going to the game.
Yeah, I should be at the game. It's not confirmed. I just gotta I don't think I'm working because I'm pretty sure the job site's going to be shut down because of the game. Because in case anyone knows, I'm actually currently working on building the new stadium, doing concrete there. So I think the stadium will be shut down. So I think, and I have the ticket. It's just if I can go, and I got to try and find someone because the person I was going to go with had previous plans. So I got to figure that out. But all signs are pointing towards me going. So yeah, really,
I'm looking forward to in the game. Like, who do you want?
I'm hoping the Giants play their at least starting defensive line, because I want to see how our offensive line looks against the Giants. That's like really the Giants' strong suit is their defensive line. I want to see how our offensive line looks against Dexter Lawrence and Abdul Carter and Brian Burns. I mean, I bet at least Abdul Carter is going to play as being a rookie. I want to see that. That's probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most is the trenches.
Cool.
I hope that we just let them through every single time and we don't try and get injured, because if Dexter Lawrence and Abdul Carter are playing, then that just does not sound like a good recipe for preseason week one, to be honest with you.
How does Dylan Grable look?
Don't get our backup.
How does Alec Anderson look? Let's see how they look. Yeah, Dexter Lawrence would beat them, but how can they hold their ground? How can they hold their own?
Yeah, I want to see. I don't want to see Dawkins. I don't want to see Allen, Dawkins, Brown, Trey White, Christian Benford, Rapp,
Ed Oliver.
If Bishop's healthy, I'd like to see him. If he's hurt, I don't want to see him, or even if he's dinged up. I don't see him a lot. I really don't want to see any of the starters. Maybe the interior, the offensive line, I'd like to be okay. James Cook, of course. I want to see Keon Coleman play. I think he needs reps. And I want to see the backup quarterback competition ultimately, and the corner competition. Who's going to come in and play? Can Hancock take a job at safety? Cam Lewis has really asserted himself really well. I'm looking for where the positional value is going to be. And Cam Lewis has had the Justin Jefferson will haunt him forever, but he's actually pretty good in coverage. He's he's just physically not able to compete with some receivers. But as a nickel, he's probably okay. But I want to see Hancock and Dorian Strong and some of these young rookies come through. And I want to see Deion Walker play.
Yeah.
Wait, quick question.
That was my thing for Deion Walker, is how many snaps is he going to take throughout the preseason, especially week one, is an indication of the trajectory of how Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott see Deion Walker in his health and his ability. His snap count will be huge. If they give him a high snap count, that means that they think he's healthy and they need him to be impactful while the suspensions are happening.
Okay, so one last question. Aaron Young here says Mike White takes the number 2 quarterback job. How do you guys feel about that? And do you think it's going to actually happen?
I don't. I don't. I like Mike White, but I still think Trubisky wins it. I just wanted to circle back real quick. Sorry to interrupt.
Go for it.
Did you watch the Texans game last year?
God, I
Alex?
want to forget it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Men in
maybe you
Black
did
10.
forget it. Maybe you did forget it. You tried saying Cam Lewis is okay in coverage. I want you to go rewatch that game.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying
Jordan
overall,
Hancock should
he's
take
not a
that spot
starting
in 2020.
dude. He's not a starting caliber player. I
That
get
would have
that.
been worse
He's
than Kyrie Elam in the AFC Championship game.
He is a backup
I
slot.
went down and
He's a
watched that
backup
game,
nickel corner.
and I wanted to.
But
claw
Taron
my
Johnson
eyes
gets
out.
hurt a lot.
Yeah,
Golly, man.
that was awful.
All right.
So bad.
You're gone, dude. Next week you're not on the show. All right, me and
There you
Randall, we got to get a new guy.
Sorry,
No, my point is with him, he's a good nickel backup.
I just disagree.
I think he's a
think
backup
he
nickel
sucks.
player. Would I prefer Hancock step in there? Yes, because I think he's got way more upside. I think there's deficiencies with Cam Lewis's game that he's never going to get over, right?
Okay, I can.
And maybe even Cam Lewis is like a third nickel / fourth safety balance, like where he doesn't really play ever, I'd be okay with that
That's
as
why
well.
I like that where he doesn't play ever.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer that. I mean, to be honest, like
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like I've seen games where Cam Lewis play and he's been very good in coverage in some of these games. The Texans game was really bad. The Vikings game, he was actually pretty good in the Vikings game other than that one mishap. So he's had some flashes. He'll never be consistent. He'll never be a starting. He can't tackle one. He's not big enough to play nickel all the time. He's just going to get leveled. He's going to get posted up by big slot receivers and tight ends. So I get it, but yeah. So what was the point?
I would like to see
the backup
kind
quarterback
of
position.
I would
Yeah,
like to
sorry,
see Mike
I just really
White.
wanted to bring that up.
I would like to see Mike
God,
White take the number 2. To be honest with you, I think if it's up to Josh Allen, probably Mitchell Trubisky takes the 2, which kind of stinks because I do think Mike White is way better than Mitchell Trubisky. I think Mitchell Trubisky is a shell of a football player.
Yep.
I think Mike White should take the 2nd unless Josh Allen makes that call. Then I think it's going to be Mitchell.
So Mike
That's
White,
my
I
exact
agree. Like in theory, I want Mike White. Okay.
Yeah.
And only in theory though, because Mike White does the same thing everywhere he goes. He shows you a flash and then he disappears and proves himself just to be awful. Right. I mean, he had that. What's the first game he ever played? Like 400 yards. He was like 37, 43. It was amazing. Right. And then he just fell off the face of the planet. And he's been shown you since then he's not good. He couldn't win the backup job in Miami. They didn't want him back in a bad backup quarterback room. I think his skill set is likable. He's got a big arm. He's a big kid. But I think that we value a player similar to Josh. I'm not saying Trubisky's anything like Josh, but his mobility, I think, sticks out in their ability. And he knows the system. He's been here longer. I think Trubisky will win it. I like the idea of Mike White better. So if he takes it, great. Because I think Mike White maybe is better just to step in for one game and win a game, and then maybe that's where we probably differ, me and you, Miley.
No, that's where I agree. And the reason I want Mike White is because if Josh Allen ever misses an extended period of time, we're not winning. It doesn't really matter. Like if he goes and is out 5 to 6 weeks, unless it's like we're 8-0 at that time. And we can try and squeak in with like 10 wins like Rodgers did. What was that back in 2012 or whatever? Unless it's a situation like that, if Josh Allen misses an extended period of time, we could probably just throw the towel in for the season.
Yeah.
We're not going to win
That's
anything.
how I feel about it.
So, but if he ends up missing one game, I'd love to have that Mike White upside of, maybe he can go crazy this game, might be able to win the one game.
Yeah.
But if he's missing a month, if he misses a month plus, put Mike White in, he can have that really good game. Then he can be awful, and we can lose for a better draft pick because we weren't going to win anyways without Josh.
Right.
Fair.
All right. Well, you guys got anything else before we end the show?
Last thing for preseason is just in case if James Cook's going to get traded, who is going to shine in that RB3 role? I heard Darrington Evans look good. Frank Gore Jr. is battling an injury, but we all love Frank Gore Jr., so I'd like to see him succeed. But who takes that who's going to show in preseason that RB3?
So Evans can fill the skill set. I think that's the important part, right? He's not going to be he's not going to get 50% of the carries or even 25% of the carries or whatever. I think somebody said that today, and I agree with that. I think 10 to 15, maybe 20 at the most, if he's RB3. And I think he can fill in with the little things that Cook does. And I mean, the thing with Evans is he's not any smaller than James. He's bigger than James Cook, actually. He's
Right.
thicker. So he can probably fill some of those positions, and he's just as explosive. So he can bring some of that to the table, and then it mitigates the, like, if we get into this, I don't think it's going to happen, but he can mitigate the problem in some respects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
But he doesn't mean he's going to be like, fill the spot. He's not going to do. It'll be Ray Davis for sure. It'll just
For
change
sure.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
RB3.
not even looking at it that way. I'm just looking at Darrington Evans has the special teams upside. He can
That
be the
too.
return
Yeah.
man, and
Yeah,
then
for sure.
that saves that roster spot. And it's either one, it saves the roster spot, or two, we don't have to risk injury with Coleman and Shakir back there. And I think Evans, as you said, could fill that spot, but I was just more so he fills that special team spot. He kind of wins that returner battle, saves us a roster spot that way, and it would be cool. That's
And
the only way I think he
I
makes
could
the
be
roster.
wrong, but I think James Cook wins a lot of his reps on light boxes. I don't remember I saw something about this. I could be
Not
wrong.
sure.
I think maybe it was last year, but he wins a lot on his light boxes, his zone runner. But we'll just have to change to probably more of gap scheme, I would imagine.
And I trust Aaron Cromer.
Yeah, and I would
Yep.
trust in the running game anyway. And I think I'd trust him to do that. And actually, Ray Davis is more elusive than he gets credit for. He's more north-south, but I mean, he's a better receiver than we gave him credit for too. So I think
Jets
we're
game.
selling him short on a lot of things. He was really good in that Jets game, the one he started. He's not going to be James Cook. He's not going to be this elusive back that keeps people on their toes, but will become more of a power game. And the passing game will have to pick up the slack, which I'd welcome if we can do it.
Yeah.
All right.
As long as it's more play action. You should have heard me in some
Oh,
of the Bills
yeah.
games last year. I just
That's a
literally,
whole nother
I
hour.
was
That's a
yelling
whole
play
nother
action
hour.
every time. I was
Yep.
yelling play action every time, and then every time they'd run play action, the pass would get completed. I'd be like, "Oh wow, what?" I would be. I would probably annoy
what a
some people around.
coincidence! Oh my god!
I would probably
Yeah.
annoy some people around me with how obnoxious I was about it.
All right, guys, let's end the show.
All right.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks to everyone who stayed in. We got 164 people watching right now. I don't know if that's
Appreciate
Twitter or if
you.
that's just a combined number, but please like, share, and subscribe to the Do Champions Network, where you can catch our show every week on Monday at 8 p.m. And thanks for coming out.
Thank you, everybody.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sports book of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club.